Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday night live stream here at Christ-Centered Ironworks. So happy to have you here in the Forge. This evening, we've got the illustrious Thomas Goodymoot. Again, the hand model and now face model extraordinaire. So he's going to be helping me again as we continue this process of forging this small little camp axe that we've kind of started this process on, and hopefully we'll get the eye drifted tonight and maybe the blade pulled out to final dimension, and it should be ready for grinding and all that other good jazz, heat treatment and yada 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 yada, like all the rest of you blade maker guys do. That stuff. The things that literally doesn't interest me at all about the whole process. Like I'm happy to forge it, but then after that it's kind of like, hey. I'm not too much into the grinding stuff. So this stream is going to be all forging, basically. So a forging session and Q&A. So I plan on answering as many questions in between heats as we wait for this billet to heat back up as I can in the stream this evening. The next live stream we have, Jessica has that date posted down in the description down below. Yep. That will be our giveaway live stream where we will be doing a giveaway of our 11th, which is kind of crazy to think, 11th Holland Anvil Swedge block this year, and also some great other door prizes that we'll have to give away then. So hopefully everybody's doing well. And who do we have in here this evening, Jess?
Let's see. Well, we had Corey Shire chanting flux, flux, flux.
Shut your mouth, sir.
We also have Cheryl Sapano-Lanis, who says hello, Roy and Jess.
Cheryl, hello.
Say hi to Robert for us.
Yep.
Oh, there he is. Hi, Robert. Mountain
hi, Robert.
Forge says hello.
Hello.
Dana says hello. Debaka Maker.
Hello.
Holy Hammer Ironworks. Good to see you.
Holy Hammer Ironworks. Good to see you in the stream, sir.
Rusty Hubcap says blame the music on Jess. It's actually Roy. He's like, you better get that changed like 5 minutes before the live
Blame
stream.
that music right here. Boom.
Brian Parker says Christmas music. Don't know whether to laugh or cry.
It is the best. So.
Rusty Hubcap says it's too early for this Christmas stuff. Let me enjoy my turkey. You can enjoy turkey while you're listening to Christmas music.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Where's turkey music? There isn't any. That's because Christmas is the best.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody go gobble, 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 gobble.
There probably is something out there.
There probably is. There's a turkey song. We probably don't want to hear it. I'm sure there probably is. So, but I can't help myself. This year gets me excited. Of course, I love turkey. I love Thanksgiving like anybody else does, or like most of the world does. But yeah, Christmas. Boom. That's my season. It is the best.
It is the best. Minion Smithy.
What else?
Yes. Thank you, Minion Smithy, for the $5 super chat. Wants to get the party started.
Thank you, Minion Smithy, for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciated.
And Cheryl Spanolana sent a $20 super sticker of little hearts.
Thank you. Heart right back at you. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you very, very much for the support. So I'm going to go ahead and get this. This thing has already been heating for a while, just warming up. I'm going to go ahead and take it up to that next stage so we can start drifting out this eye. And if you've got questions for me, you could just go ahead and drop them in the comments there. Jessica will do her best to get around to everyone's if she can. That might be impossible, but we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Questions, that is.
Yes. Jeff Woodring says Christmas is the best season.
Huh?
Christmas is the best season.
Yeah. I think it is, anyhow.
Wilson Ranch Forge says, hi everybody, I finally made it to another live where I can watch 2 of my favorites. Great music.
Awesome. 2 of your favorites, huh? Which 2? We got 3 in here now. Don't worry, Thomas. your chopped liver. Okay? Don't worry.
I just swing hammer, boss. I just swing hammer.
You just swings it for me. Swings it for me, Thomas.
Bill Will says, okay, question. How big of a discussion with Troy did you have about us chatters while he was visiting?
Ooh, good question. I'll never tell.
What happens in the shop stays.
Yeah, what happens in the shop stays in the shop.
Shop secrets.
Shop secrets. All good things. All good things. That's what we talked about. All good things.
Let's see. Gaming Ham says, I love Halloween and hi.
Well, I'm glad you love Halloween, and hello.
It's great seeing everybody's colorful anvils. He has one of the yellow ones with the green flames. Like everybody's stages are different, you know. Some have the purple, some have the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you that are channel members, maybe you've noticed or not yet, but the longer you've stayed a channel member, the different the colors become. They change. So the longer you've been consecutively a channel member, the little flaming badge that you got there of the anvil, it changes colors. It goes to all sorts of different colors there. Also, the tier that you're a member at changes somewhat too. So that color, which is pretty cool. Neat little, I don't know. Some people are into that sort of thing. Oh, yeah, they're called badges. I think is what they're called. But we do need to work on some more emojis, some more custom emojis for that. We kind of set that up, and then we just...
They allow for us to do some more. So you guys will have to say in the comments what emojis you think would be good to have added.
Yeah, there you go. Man, you're opening up Pandora's box on that one.
I just asked for suggestions.
Yeah, we're going to end up having to pay someone to design emojis for us. I am not a graphic artist, so not going to happen on me.
Question from the Trucker Geek says, how hot do I need to get my forge up for forging 1060 steel? I have two homemade propane burners, and I seem to only get about 1600 degrees Fahrenheit or so.
If all you're getting, so most forging, well, you could do forging at low temperatures like 1600 degrees. It's my preference to be forging on material between 1800 and 2000 degrees. That's when I'm really transforming something, so I'm taking it from a very large size to a smaller size, or I'm asking for a lot of spread out of something, or displacing a lot of material. The more material you're trying to displace, the hotter it needs to be. Now, guys that do blade work, most of the time they're not trying to run it up that high because they're afraid of grain growth. So if you're trying to do blade work or something, you don't generally want to keep it at them higher temperatures, so you might run it at a lot lower temperature like that. The hotter you can get it, high carbon material, low carbon, whatever, the hotter you can get it, the more like Play-Doh it is. The colder it is, the lot more work and elbow grease you're going to have to take and put into it. All right, Thomas, let's bring you over here. Jessica, you can go to camera number 2, please.
All right.
So we're going to start by opening this thing up. Oh, let me get set there. Go ahead and light tap. Well. We're just trying to open it up. Yep. Well. I'll cool this off real quick. Well, cool this off again. Open this slot back up. We'll be doing pretty all right. Well, this chisel's not really made for this. I'm just improvising. We are on camera number 2, correct, Jess?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Oh. Well. Go ahead. Well. All right. I have to see if I have to check my drift to see if my drift will start fitting into that. It's coming close. I'll have to reheat this. We'll have to open it just a little bit more.
Is this starting to crack right there?
It's just popping open where there was a cold shut on the blade.
Okay.
So I'll need to open this up just a bit more so this can start fitting in there, and then I can dress it around. So, questions, just concerns, complaints. There better be no complaints.
I was looking where to begin.
Are we back to camera number 1?
Yes, we're back there. Black Collar Ironworks joined as a bellows boy, but then shortly upgraded to Big Burly Striker, followed by Epic Blacksmith of Fire.
Oh man, you're like 3 in 1. You're 3 in 1. Thank you so much.
Maybe he's having a good night. No burnt pot pies tonight.
No burnt pot pies? Oh, that's not possible. It's a Friday night. It's burnt pot pies night.
Burnt pot pies all around.
That was Black Collar, you said? So did he get all his other aliases to pump up to?
Not yet, just the one.
Yeah, I tell you what, we would really be feeling the financial support there if he jumped up to like Golden Master Smith on all of his accounts. Don't do that, seriously.
The army of Golden Master Smiths.
Yeah, an army of Golden Master Smiths. He could change his name. Instead of Black Collar Army, right? It could be Golden Master Smith Army. See?
I mean, does that make him the definition of a one-man army?
Basically. Self-funded, self-recruited.
Yeah.
Question from Matt Wyatt says, do you have a list of measurements for the medieval fire bucket thingy?
I did go over some of the measurements in the actual video. As far as the list of measurements for like the bins, I saw your comment. I just haven't been able to get to it today. Basically, I just laid off 6 inches in like 6-inch intervals. Well, 7 inches in from one end, 7 inches in from the other, 6 inches across for the middle. And you just put your bins there, and then that extra inch rolls out into the little fishtail scrolls on top. So you just repeat that for the other dimensions. And then, yeah, the one's pretty self-explanatory where it laps and forge welds up as far as the hoop goes for the basket.
Rusty Hubcap, thank you for the $50 super chat.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Alan coming in strong. Thank you.
See, Boxy says, how did you make/open the axe eye?
How did I what?
Make the axe eye.
So we made the axe eye in the last live stream. So what this is a wrapped eye axe. So we've wrapped it around and we put a piece of high carbon steel tool steel in there. And then we welded it, sandwiched it on that high carbon tool steel bit. And then we stayed off the axe eye portion itself. So basically it's just folded over and all we're doing is opening that back up now since the bit is all welded in. So that's what we're doing. So I'm just using a chisel, a narrow chisel, to kind of just start opening this up so I can get a drift in it, and when I can start working and drawing down the pull of the axe and getting it to shape. Also, I could do a little bit more work then on the blade and drawing out the blade somewhat as well. So that's where we sit as of current.
Bill Smithy says, just a question, do you ever use coal ash to help prevent punches or drifts from sticking?
Coal ash? I've used coal ash before for that. Right now, all I have is coke, so there's not a whole lot of that in it to actually be used. Back when I had green coal and I was smithing with green coal, I'd use that all the time. Yeah, that was my way of making sure things don't stick. To be honest with you, I don't use a lot of lubrication on my punches at all. In the fly press, I do. I've got like a little bit of like beeswax that's got some old green coal ash in it that I just got mixed up, and I'll use that to lubricate those punches because it's a little slower process. But like all my drifts and things like that, not generally. I usually don't grease them up with anything. Probably should, but I'm not using them repetitively. I just don't think about it, basically. I don't do that much where I need that type of lubrication on things. If you're going to be using a tool very often, say like if you're going to make a ton of hammers, you're going to make a ton of axes and that, you're going to want to make your tools to last as long as they can. So you're always going to want to be cooling those tools down. You're always going to be wanting to make sure that they're lubricated. That way there's as least amount of surface friction on it. You don't get them stuck, things like that. Since I don't do this type of work very often at all, I don't usually do that.
Did you talk before we actually get to the purpose of that hammerite, the drift? Did you talk about it at all?
What, the drift itself? No, I haven't talked about the drift just yet. So, but I will here soon.
I didn't know if you did that in another video or not.
No, not yet. So.
Rusty Hubcap says, there, I'm entertained, Roy.
You are entertained? Well, good, sir. I am glad you are entertained.
Wilson Ranch Forge says, what was the measurements for tackling Troy?
What was the measurements?
I guess how many steps did you have to take to get to him?
Let's see here. From across the shop, 42 steps. And then impact.
That made that sound so much better. I had to hurdle over.
Yeah. See what's interesting is I actually caught a whole bunch of folks on that video. A bunch of video skippers. I caught y'all because the video is fairly long, right? It's like 29 minutes long. The video's 29 minutes long. It was released, and 10 minutes later, I had people saying, great video, this was awesome, so glad you got together, and what an awesome project. And I'm like, you've missed 19 minutes of video footage in there somewhere. Gotcha. I caught the taters. Caught all them video skippers out there. Oh, and I think a lot of people didn't even see the center portion of the video. So, and that's where that was my favorite part, with not the flux and me tackling. Yep, me tackling Troy. Been waiting to do that for a while. It was great. Good times had for all. Oh.
Jeffrey Brown says, I'm trying to learn the craft. Is it possible to leave your blade in the quench too long?
So, I'm not a bladesmith, but no. If you are quenching something, you're trying to cool something off rapidly. That's what it means to quench something, right? You know, like quenching your thirst. Would you stop drinking before your thirst was quenched? No. So you're going to, any tool steel that you're trying to cool off, generally speaking, you're trying to take it down to a point to where it's no longer have a change of state, right? So it doesn't help for you to dunk it real quick and look at it and then dunk it again and then look at it and dunk it again. No, get it in the tub and quench it all the way off and be done with it. Bring it out, straighten any warps or whatever you've got going on there, and move on with your life. Which, fun fact, most people don't understand where warps and blades come from. 99.999% of people's blades warps comes from one simple fact. It comes from overstressing the material on one side. You're working this blade back and forth and back and forth, back and forth and back and forth, and you work one side and you straighten it out, and that side's got tension in it now. And so when you go to quench it, woo, away it goes. Just like if you were to put a flat piece of steel and you were to quench just one side of it and leave the top side out, it would draw on you and it would be bent because one side's hot, the other side's cold. That's why blade makers generally quench in the edge. They don't just lay it in flat, right? They either do edge or plunge it straight down and in to try to avoid as much of that warping and twisting. A lot of blades that snap, they say, well, it's the grain structure, it was this or it was that, or however. Nope, it's because you did a coat hanger with that thing, trying to keep it flat, sharp, and pointy, and went back and forth like this a zillion times on the anvil while you're trying to get it straight. And then when you went to go in for your quench later on, you had created a weak spot, a stress riser in that blade, and that's where it snapped, regardless of grain structure.
Is that because
So,
they didn't normalize it?
normalization won't matter because you've created a point of stress. You've worked them grains back and forth at one point because you keep bending it back and forth, back and forth. So to try to get something straight on an anvil, you hit it until it touches the anvil. Or, what's even better yet, is to straighten out between a void. So open the jaws of your vise and give it a whack in the center and then check it against something that's flat. Because as soon as you come in contact with the anvil and you hit hard enough that you displace material, it cuts in the direction that your hammer is. So, yeah, fun facts for you. Learn. Boom.
Question from Ari says, how do you know what dimensions a slot punch should be? If I'm making a slot punch to drift a half-inch hole, for example, what should the measurement of the punch be?
So for a half-inch hole, you're probably not going to have a slot punch. Slot punch holes come in when you're trying to do like 1-inch holes and stuff. But generally, 1 inch and up. But generally speaking, the relationship between the size of the slot, and this is just a general rule, and the finished diameter of the hole is about the same. So you need a 1 inch long, roughly 1 to 1 1/16 inch long slot punch in order to make a 1 inch diameter hole finished drifted. You go much larger than that, you have to think of those points of reference that 1 inch line is. If you go up a little bit further than that, you're going to have a little crack at the end, at the bottom, right? You're going to have a little you have like a little crotch on both ends, so it's going to look like an eye or something like that, right? When you actually drift it out to 1 inch. There's things you can do to adjust for that to where it's not so bad. And then there's guys who actually like to start with a little smaller hole and then drift up. So they might start with a 3/4 inch slot, start drifting with a 3/4 inch punch, and then go from 3/4 inch up to 1 inch, finish out their drift then. There's a lot of different ways of doing the same thing. It just depends on the final result that you're after and maybe where you're playing at too. If you're playing on the end of a bar, you might want to just start with the correct size and not go up. If you're going in the center of the bar, you could probably go with a little smaller slot and then drift up to final size. Just depends on what the finished hole needs to be. But in general, the relationship there is if you're trying to make a 1 inch slot or say a 1/2 inch slot, you're going to make it, if you're trying to make a 1/2 inch round hole, it's going to be a 1/2 inch slot in the bar. Hopefully that makes sense. We ready? Let's go, Thomas. Go to camera number 2, Jess.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Let's go ahead and drive that down through more. Well.
Drop forge.
Drop forge. A drop forge. Gonna give it one whack there. Well. Okay. See if that goes in. Let's see here. Go ahead and give me a few taps on that there.
It's really winding up on that.
I know.
Back end.
Well. All right. Go back to main cam. Watch out, Thomas.
All right.
I got to come over here to my... secondary cam. All right, we're able to get that open now. This is what we're working with. Can everybody see that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
Everybody's playing the Gatorade game with you. They'll be very well hydrated.
The Gatorade game? Yeah, they'll be very well hydrated.
You're saying hi to your milk dud? Hi.
Making that H13 punch look all sorts of blues nicely. Done. So, we at the main cam now?
Yep.
All right. So, whoa. This axe drift that I'm using, I actually was given by Holland Anvil USA. You guys ought to check them out. If you haven't, they are our main contributor this year to our live streams with the Holland Anvil Swedge block. I'll have a video on this actual drift in the future. I plan on making a couple different types of cutting implements that's needed for some timber frame work. And so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I've gotten that drift from Holland Anvil, and they were nice enough to give that to me, and just wanted to give them a little shout out on that. I believe it is made from H13, so it's gonna be one tough cookie. One tough cookie. Which is a good thing. No, I'm gonna set that right there. I think that's perfect. What we got, Jess?
Daniel Crawford says, gold in that info right there. What you're saying about the quench and straightening stuff out.
Ah, yeah. So for all of you new guys out there, I'll give you this bit of a Roy rant for free. All right, this one's a freebie. Most of your questions can be answered with 10 minutes, maybe 20, maybe a half hour of research and just general logical thought put in motion around something. The rest of your answers can come from the forging itself. If you're asking some wild thing, hey, has anybody ever smithed with meteorite? Well, yes, they have. Well, how do you do it? That's so broad. That's so broad. How do you smith with meteorite? Well, find a guy who's done it before. Maybe ask him. If you don't have that ability or you can't find something on it, do the research behind what type of meteorite do you need to find? What does it look like? How well does it go together? Can you obtain a piece? Can you put it in your own forge and start smithing on that? A lot of that self-study and self-learning can really go a long way to answer your questions long before you get to having to necessarily ask them from, whoever across the internet. Because what happens is on the day and the age of the internet that we have now is you have one guy with a bit of information, some of it good, probably some of it, inaccurate, some of it accurate, some of it inaccurate, right? He's telling you from his perspective or what he's learned in the past. Then you've got somebody else on the internet from somewhere completely else. They're telling you something different. And then somebody else over here, they're shouting out something different. And then you got the guy with an ego problem that, he's egomaniac. He's got to walk in and have a measuring contest with everybody. And he tries to trump everybody with his thoughts. And you get a whole lot of confusion around things, right? So for instance, just like straightening out, making something flat, right? Like, why do I keep getting warps and stuff? If you take 10 minutes and observe what you are doing and diagnose it in a step-by-step logical process, a chain of events. Like, okay, I did this, this, and this, I had this result. I did this, this, and this, and I had this result. If you do that, it will go a long way towards your blacksmithing education. And then when someone's busy spewing something out online that is inaccurate, you will be able to tell the good information from the bad that's out there. There's a whole thing that went around for a while, was quenching your blades towards true magnetic north, right? Otherwise they'd develop a warp in them. Come on. Seriously, right? But that's how things like that get started, and they go around, and then you get people who don't know any better, or you just new into the craft. You're like, okay, well, the guy online that I know and trust, he says my blade needs to be quenched perfectly magnetic north. So I got to find out where north, and you start going down this big rabbit hole, and you weren't in on the joke, right? You weren't in on the joke. But online, unfortunately, unless they add a whole lot of LOLs and smiley faces and winky faces and things like that, emojis, you're not going to be able to tell when a guy's serious and someone's just yanking your chain, so to speak. It's just a byproduct of the internet days that we're living in right now. But don't jump to conclusions until you can make those assertions with some facts, right, behind you. I get challenged, well, quite a bit, actually, on everything, well, just about everything I say. Just about everything I get challenged quite a bit. And I can show and illustrate my work behind the things that I say. So if I talk about forge welds, how flux is not necessary, I can illustrate to you how flux is not necessary. If I tell you that it's the oxygen that burns the steel and not getting it too hot, I can illustrate for you exactly what I mean, how you cannot get steel too hot, period, to burn it. They pour the stuff, and it's not burnt to oblivion, and we don't come anywhere near liquid with what we're doing. So it's not possible for you to burn it with heat. What burns steel is oxygen. That's what burns steel, just like a cutting torch. But just a few moments of thought. I was always told you get it too hot, you overheat it, you burn it up. But that's incorrect. That's inaccurate. It's the oxygen percentage that's in the fire at that point of it being hot. When those start crossing the line on one another, they meet up on that scale and you start burning material. But it's the oxygen that burns heat, not burns steel. It is not the heat that burns steel. Just something to keep in mind. So stuff like that, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes of research, Google around a bit, find 10 different opposing theories to the same thing, right? Test it out in your own shop, and it will really help you move through this whole thing of online education, who's the sources you can, trust and pick up from. Because even some of those guys that have been in it, and they've been in it for like 35, 40 years, they don't have all the answers. They don't. They may think they do, but they don't. They don't have all the answers. They have a lot of good information. They've probably been fed some inaccurate information at some points. It's not possible to know it all. So you do have to do literally your own self-study, doing your own research on things, and then trial and error. Try things out, see how it works for you. Oh.
Thomas sent a $10 super chat. Says,
telling me to shut up?
No. Says, for my questions and help enjoying my time in the shop. 2 smiley faces.
You're very welcome, Thomas. Oh.
Charles.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody enjoyed that little free informational there. I get on some guys' bad sides when I do that, but.
Charles Maxwell says, when forging meteorites, make sure to flux with moon dust.
So you're grinding up people? We're all moon dust.
I do know there's a video on the YouTubes about forging meteorite.
Yeah, there is videos out there. Oh. But yeah, so like the thing, like if you just think logically, right? Put the 2 and 2 together. We melt steel, but yet it doesn't burn. It becomes useful items. But yet then in blacksmithing it's possible to heat steel to where it would burn up and be useless. But yet it's not a liquid. Those two things don't jive. So that means there has to be another option there. There has to be another reason why we're burning up our material. Why do the old timers say keep an oxygen neutral fire when you're forge welding? What is that? How do you achieve that? It's pretty simple. You need to bring the fire up to its heat, and then you need to reduce the oxygen that's feeding that fire. Basic, right? Like that's basic. That's a reducing fire. So if you can do that, you're good. You can't keep it like that forever because obviously fire consumes oxygen, right? It has to consume oxygen. It's part of the combustion process. So you can't just starve it of all oxygen. Or you'll hear Smith say, well, that's a zero oxygen environment. That's false. It's not a zero oxygen environment. If it was zero oxygen, there'd be no flame. The thing would be dead. There's a percentage of oxygen in there. It's lower. It's a lower amount of oxygen. You're not keep feeding oxygen into an already hot fire. Again, those are just things that when you hear people say a certain thing, you have to kind of question it and then, come up with the actual factoids to those.
Black Collar Ironworks sent a $10 super chat. Says maybe someday I'll change my name to Brigadier General of Golden Collar Army, but not today.
That's all right, Black Collar. That's okay. Brigadier General. Went to the bottom.
Oh no.
Another helpful tip for people who are using coal. No, we got plenty. I pushed a bit of clinker that was preventing it from heating up here. For people who are using coal, don't jam your steel down like this into the fire. That happens because we're told when we're first getting started, right, or in the textbooks, you want to put your steel in the hottest portion of the fire. Well, what do you look at? You look in the fire pot and you say, hey, the hottest portion of the fire is clear down here in the bottom. No, that's the most oxygenated portion of the fire. So what do? We start sticking our rods of material down into the hottest portion of the fire. Well, it gets hot. It does do that. It gets hot quick. It does do that. But it's getting hot quick because there's a lot of oxygen there too as well. And so that oxygen then starts burning away your material, your steel, just like a cutting torch would, right? So that's what you encounter. So when someone tells you to put it in the hottest portion of the fire, if they're telling you to scoop it all the way to the bottom, they are incorrect in that assertion. Do not put it in the bottom of the fire. That is the oxygenated portion of the fire. The middle portion of the fire, up to just above surface layer, is the neutral zone of the fire where most of the oxygen has been consumed from your air blast. That's where you want it. If you go up too high, like you just set it on top and you're watching it cook like a flapjack or like a steak sitting on top, you're getting nothing but atmospheric oxygen hitting your steel as it heats up. That's an oxygenated portion of the fire, but different. It's not coming from the air blast underneath. So settle that down. All your steel always goes in perfectly horizontally. If the fire runs away from it, you're burning hollow. Fill it back up, break your sides down so it comes back up even and you have enough to snug it in like a nice little blanket on top to protect it from the atmosphere oxygen. And then you will have way less burned projects for doing so.
Crawford says, guilty, burned a lot during learning of that.
Yep.
Robert Lannis, that's a good way to make a sparkler. An expensive sparkler. Wayne Heinz, you missed a Roy rant.
What's that?
I said, wait, he just got back. He had to load some firewood. He said if he missed anything grand. So I told him he missed a Roy rant.
Mr. Roy rant. There you go. that clinker out.
Wallace Vivian's Adventure says, hello from Newfoundland. Woo.
Hello.
And Rusty Hubcap has to scoot.
Well, you just go on and scoot there, sir. Thank you for coming in the stream, and thank you for your support. Greatly appreciated.
Wilson's Ranch Forge says, teach it and preach it, Roy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Working with Iron says, bingo.
I've heard well-meaning smiths before talk about flux like as if it was a glue. I've heard well-meaning smiths talk about flux like as if it actually does anything more than clean the oxides off, the surface oxides off your steel, like it's protecting your steel from oxygen. It's not. It's not. That's not what flux is meant for. It's not. It doesn't protect any. It carries, it eats away at the surface oxides on the material and floats them out to the edges so they can be expelled by your hammer blows.
Matt Wyeth asks if there's a specific height that your solid fuel forge has to sit at to be more comfortable to use.
Great question. That one doesn't come up very often. This will get hot eventually. I've got to bring this up, by the way. If anybody's, I'm not stalling. I'm actually waiting for the forge to come up to a temperature for the wrought iron here. I had a big clinker in the bottom of it that was preventing me getting enough oxygen to the coke. So it's going to take another minute here. Height of forge to anvil, or to be comfortable. I like my forge top the same height as my anvil top, if I can, generally. It's okay if the forge is a little lower, because you shouldn't be standing over here all day arching over. Like, you shouldn't be watching your steel like that. Like, you don't need to be there, right? Put it in the fire, bring the forge up to the temperature you want the material to be, and then walk away. My gas forge I have set up a lot higher in my shop. I have it set up at about nipple height. And that way, without me, I don't have it set so low where I've got to, if I want to go look down in it, I got to go way over like this every time I want to see how hot my material's getting. I have it set up to where at a glance I can be like, my material's hot, and I can go over there and grab it out. Likewise, it wouldn't be helpful if this forge was set up super high where I'm looking underneath and I got to like hop up every time to try to see it, right? And see where my material is. So I generally set my forge height to the same height that my anvil is set at, thereabouts. There's another additional benefit if you ever work on really long work. If you adhere to kind of a triangular setup, you can set a piece of steel. You can use your anvil as a rest while you slide your material over into your fire. So depending on how your anvil's set up, that can be very handy and effective for you.
Heath French says flux is the new linseed oil.
Listen at him. Listen at him. All right. Let's go ahead. Let's pull this out. It's nice and hot now.
Howdy, Hans. Good to see ya.
Ready?
Yep.
You come out. We're going to go ahead and whoop. Good. Well, good. Well. Go back to main cam, Jess.
All right.
Thomas. You need to follow my hammer blows.
Is that cracking in the back?
Yeah. You have to get this hot again. questions?
Let's see. Bortagov says, I missed the start as well as where we are on winter time already.
Our winter time already, eh?
Winter time, we had a snow the other day, a very light one.
Yep,
when we were
had a
up in
light
Alpena.
snow. So, also, if you haven't checked it out yet, I would really appreciate it if you all go out and check out the Aurora video I did, the chasing a different kind of fire. A lot of people probably looked at that and like, yeah, that's not for me, but it's a really cool video. Trust me, if you watch to the end, it's really cool. At least I think it was. I stayed out till 5 a.m. in the morning to get that video. So, so I appreciate it if everybody go give that thing a little bit of love. Oh, it's been out for, what, 2 days now? And it's only had 800 views, which is really low, really low. Oh, which I kind of knew it was going to happen because it's just not directly forging. But I have some reasons why I want you to check out that video. They're kind of going into some of my future content. I'm not going to be like a travel channel or anything like that. Don't worry, okay? But I do have some future content where I'm going to include some purpose-driven content. So it's not just, oh, here's the steel. And look, I made a lumpy thing into a prettier lumpy thing, but it's actually set up where I go to a place, I film on a location, and we create something cool from that location. So that's those are some future video plans. And so I hope you guys will go give that video some love and just be thinking of some things that you could forge. That would be an indicative of that. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel, and you're going to see some of the thumbnails. They're going to be a little bit different. It's not going to just be like how to forge maple leaf, or how to forge a hammer, or how to forge tong. They're going to have different titling, and thumbnails to them, but they will have some forging in them. I'm being very cryptic because I must. I want it to be. I don't want to get committed to one thing just yet. That's where I say one thing and then I promise it and then I'm held to it and all this other stuff. So, because who knows how my life may go. I may just like not get the opportunity. That's a very real possibility too. So,
Heath French asked if you prefer working in a big wooden barn or a big shed. What are the pros and cons to each?
Let's see here. Pros and cons. The pro of a large building, a large shop space, is you have plenty of space to fill it with all the things you ever wanted, right? And that's a pro, right? Like you can have space around your stuff. It gives you the option to bring in equipment, move equipment in and out. The logistic side of things, it's nice for that. The downside to having a huge space is it costs more. It costs more to heat. We don't have heat in here. It costs more to side it. It costs more to put paint on it. It costs more to roof it. It costs more to pour concrete in it. It costs more to put electric in it, right? Everything just costs infinitely more on a large building space, right? Versus a small one. Most of the time when you think about building a shop, if you're going to build a shop, most of the time we just think of the initial cost, right? Like, oh, well, I could have a 50 by 100 pole barn built for that. Yeah, but can you put a concrete floor in that 50 by 100? Have you anticipated the, 800 yards of gravel you're going to need in that sucker? Right? Like, have you anticipated that? Have you anticipated that it's going to cost you 40 grand to put siding on that thing when you need to replace it ultimately someday? Or how about the roof? That'll probably be 100 grand. Who knows, right? So those long-term logistical costs, we generally don't think about, where a smaller space actually might be more advantageous, or multiple smaller spaces might be more advantageous for what we need. We just think, well, big shop, big building, right? I love my shop. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Love it. Just love everything about it. Love that it's old. Love that it was used for a dairy barn at one time. Love the hewn beams. Love every part of it. as far as a shed, the advantages and disadvantages of a shed. The advantages of a shed, it's smaller. It's easier to heat. It's easier to insulate. It's easier, all the long-term logistical costs are cheaper. Disadvantages, you have to size your equipment appropriately to being in there. Not saying you can't have a 1,000-pound anvil inside a little 6x10 shed, but that's all you're going to fit in there, and you're going to have to put your forge on a swivel. It swivels outside when you're ready to start for the day, right? That can be a huge downside. So that's just some stuff to think about. That's what I can think of right off the top of my head about plus sides and downsides to large shop versus small shop, big pole building versus, tiny shed. And it's regional as well. A lot of you can get by with just a carport, just an awning overhead to keep rain from just dripping on your head, right? Because you live in a tropical area. You could do that and throw up a mosquito screen around you and you're good to go, right? You don't ever need to have the things, right? But all the way up here, up north, or even further north than where we're at, it gets cold and it stays winter for a very long time. Well, in that case, you want to think about insulation and heat. We didn't think about that in the big shop, and that we don't have money to put insulation and heat into this big old building. So Roy freezes while I work.
So we try to put insulation onto Roy.
Yeah, so we put insulation on the Roy. Exactly.
Like that kid from Christmas Story.
Yep. Yeah, like the kid from, the Christmas Story. I can't move my arms, so, But I have people say, oh, when are you going to insulate that building? As soon as you give me $70K to do so. Because that's probably what it's going to take to insulate it, put all the board, flame retardant wood, stuff in there, change the looks, everything else. It's like, nah, it's going to be expensive. So it'll be a long time. This part, honestly, will probably never be insulated. I'll insulate my smaller shop, the smaller side of the shop that's all enclosed, or what I call my fabrication side. I'll insulate that probably, but out here, never. That's just the answer. The best I'll do is have new siding put on that blocks out the air gaps.
Matt Wyeth says, what is the smallest shop space that you would light a forge in and still be safe?
Well, I was in a 6x10 shed in my backyard. That was really small. I know a guy who has a 6x8 space that he forges in. That's tight. You could probably go as small as 4x8. I'm thinking about practicality, right? If you're just making nails or making small little ornaments or trinkety kind of things, knife blades, you don't need a ton of space. You need a space for a grinder, you need a space for an anvil, somewhere in the corner for a post vise or some filing, and your forge. And you can build that as small as you like, and you're just not building very big fires on it. The trick with smaller spaces, you need more ventilation. So you need to think about a small space with lots of windows. That's it. Windows that can be closed or windows that can be open. That's the main deal with small enclosed spaces. You want them to be able to breathe. That's the only real thing to concern yourself or to be looking at in that thing. So I'm going to do some cleanup work here, Thomas, so you're all good. I'll just do some cleanup on this heat. Let's go to camera number 2.
All right. Wayne Hines says you'll still have to forge on an iceberg.
Yep, I still got that to do, don't I?
And Black Collar said, Roy, you're going to have to finally start forging a copper boat on the iceberg.
A what?
You're going to have to forge a copper boat on the iceberg.
A copper boat?
Yes. To get out of there, I guess.
We do have icebergs on here.
You people are crazy. Get that hot again.
I think we should get Roy to do the polar bear challenge.
We saw some people out doing that.
Yeah, the polar
year.
plunge. I'll do it. I ain't scared. Question, do I have to be naked or clothed? I'll do either. I don't care.
I was a little confused at it.
Well, we don't want to see the naked part. Although I think after you get in the water, we might not.
But you're filming.
Out on my job site.
That's going to be a heck of a job editing that thing to keep the little black box where it belongs. When I say little black box, like from the neck down, black box. So it would just be a black box with a head running around.
Out there on Hubbard Lake today working, there was a guy that actually went swimming out there.
Went swimming in Hubbard Lake?
Yeah, today.
Woo!
No thank you.
He's preparing.
If anybody don't know that lake, it's probably about 40 degrees.
Yeah, Hubbard Lake's 40 degrees. Aye.
We went hiking last weekend at Negwagon, and we looked at some pictures people had posted from the same day, and there was a group of youth that went there, and they were swimming in Lake Huron.
Yep, they went swimming in Huron.
Last weekend.
I don't even go in that lake in the summer.
I do, early summer. It's not bad.
Well, hottest part of summer.
Look, you stop shivering once your body goes numb, and you're good to go. You're good to go. You can be out there indefinitely then. See? I'm always telling the truth, ain't I? Right? You'll be out there indefinitely. Or you can be out there indefinitely then. It's all okay once the shivering goes away.
Tim Cunningham says, when you join a conversation halfway through, greetings all.
You never know what you're going to get, huh, Tim? Greetings, greetings. Let's go to camera number 2 again, Jess.
All right.
So this rot actually has a little bit of an interesting defect in it. And I don't know if it's because I got it when we were going for the weld, which that part wasn't in the fire, so I don't know if it got a bit too much oxygen to the back end of it. I don't remember from the last time towards the pole, but right about sideways on the eye, it's starting to kind of split across the grain. And so I don't know where that's coming from. It could just be an end grain where it's gotten lapped before. This could have been, when they billeted it up, this could be already a imperfection that was already forged into the bar to begin with and wasn't fully welded in. But now that it's in the eye, it's just going to have to live there. But you do have to pay attention. If it starts cracking around the eye or something like that, you got to start treating it very gingerly when you're drifting and you're forging things out, because that can propagate out into a much bigger crack and end up cracking all the way through. So who knows? This might be a failed project. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how well it goes. From here on out.
Someone asked a little earlier if you had already put the bit into it.
The bit, yep, the bit's already been welded in. That happened last live stream. So I'm going to get this hot. I'm going to dry this drift in. And then I'm going to have, I'm probably going to dress it up one more time. And then we'll have Thomas come in again. And we'll try to do a bit more drifting. Do a bit more side work with the sledgehammer and stuff. Right now, I'm kind of taking care of some of these little issues, these little cracks and things. And I'm working on closing those up. That's kind of what these little cleanup heats are doing for me.
Rubber Whitney says, polar plunge in a kilt. Just had to say that.
Not happening. Not happening.
He'll do it naked, but won't do it in a kilt.
They've been trying to get him to wear a kilt for like 2 years now.
Nope, no man skirts for me.
Bortagov says, are you planning on etching the axe, Roy?
Well, it won't be etched. If I do anything to it, I might do a little bit of chisel work to it. Might do a little bit of chased work to it. But most likely, I'm just going to leave this one plain. And I might just etch it well, yeah, etch it like basically just to show the grains of the wrought, if anything.
Wayne Hines says, lucky for me, it seems most folks forgot to prepare for winter and are needing firewood in a hurry. I sold 7 cords today.
Woohoo!
That's
You
moving
busy
a good bit of
boy.
wood. Mm-hmm. User X says, what do you think the forging temperature is on the axe you are doing now?
What do I think the forging temperature is right now?
Yep.
The working temperature of wrought irons right around that 2,000 degrees, 2,100 degrees. That's what it should be. In general, the rest of the axe is right around 1,800, 1,900. The eye where I'm working though is up around that 2,100 degree range, 2,000 to 2,100. Wrought iron likes really hot, 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 hot. All right, I'm gonna go over here. Start by getting this drifted again. Oh, it's not wanting to go, Thomas.
You want to help?
No, I got it. It's good. Ah. Got back opened up. We at the main cam or anvil cam? Which one are you, Jess?
Anvil.
Okay.
Or is that just where that angle was? Where it's
Yeah, it's where the angle's at. Was creasing there. That's dressing up. Ought to work that pole a bit more. Close that up. Drive that out. But those sides are evened up now to a degree. So now we'll have to start forging this out a bit more on the next heat.
Okay.
It's pretty good. So there we are. We're getting closer. What I'm trying to do is I'm actually trying to close up this little crack right there at the back. There's also a tiny little crack on this edge that's forming. It's being stressed out on this edge, so I'll have to watch that as we go, as we form this on down. But next heat, we're going to heat this up while it's on the drift, and we're going to stretch some of this material down. Some of this right here, some of this pole material down. That's going to get stretched down and maybe even up just slightly. And that way it still fits our eye. And then it'll go back in and we'll come along and we'll actually start drawing this material out more, the blade edge out. And do whatever little straightening we got to do along the way.
Black Collar Ironworks says you can just Photoshop the kilt on. Sean Anderson says, are you sure, Roy? I have an extra kilt and can be there in 10 minutes or less.
No kilting. No kilting.
Daniel Crawford says, how many grand is it going to take to get that kilt on, Roy? And Cars Thompson answered, probably the 70 grand to insulate the shop.
Yeah. Close. 100 grand. 100K. You got a deal.
It'll be like a one-time offer.
And all unmarked bills.
Yep. 100K, all unmarked bills in my account by midnight before the Christmas live stream, and I'll wear a kilt. There you go. 100K. Any takers?
Matt Wyeth asked if the axe eye is offset to one side.
No. The axe eye is great and centered. the last little bit of it there while I was working on the back, the blade bent over just a little bit. So I need to straighten that back out. And that's giving it kind of an illusion that it's a little bit off. But the eye is mostly centered. When we were working the sides down, we were actually working down a thick side. So we had a little thicker side on one side than the other of the eye, just by the way it welded over. And so we were drawing that down a little bit to even things back out. But we already kind of took care of that thickness issue. So it's running pretty true right now, which is a good thing because it needs to. As you can tell, I am totally not set up for axe making at all. I don't have the right swedge set up. I don't have the, I need one with like a slot in it instead of a round hole, right? I'm just really not set up for this type of drifting operation. So you see me fumbling a bit. Should give you respect for the guys that you see make axes all the time and make it look so super easy, and they knock it out in like 3 heats, 3-4 heats, right? The amount of work and R&D time that has went into their tooling is through the roof. Really has been. What's going on, babe?
More kilt chatter. Charming Hollow says, Super Chat doesn't go that high. Matt Wythe said, I would laugh if someone did give him $100K just to see Roy in a kilt. And Eric says,
non-refundable, $100K. I should preference that.
Eric said he at least said a number, so he's more winning than he was last time.
Well, see, Hans, by the way, $100K, that's what in $100 bills? Well, people drop $1,000 chats. See? You do that times 100. That's how that works. Maths.
Yeah, Dabaka said you only need 1,000 of your subs to give you $100.
Yeah, 1,000 of my subs, $100. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. That brings an interesting point about subscribers, right? A lot of people think that on YouTube you get paid for your subscribers. You don't. You paid nothing for your subscribers. You only get paid for ads that have been watched. That's it. Your subscribers is just people who are subscribing to you. That's really just it's a vanity number, if you will. It's a vanity metric. You don't get paid nothing additional for subscribers. Because if I got like on Twitch or something and I had the same amount of subscribers, which we're coming up on 79,000 subscribers, and I got like $1 a subscriber a month, I'd be living pretty good. Well, the whole blacksmithing community would be living pretty good too as well. But that's not how it works on YouTube. So they don't even pay you a nickel a subscriber. They don't pay you jack diddly for subscribers. So there's channels out there that got millions of subs and they don't earn a penny. Not really. They might earn $400 or $500 because whatever content they're producing isn't marketable to ads, right? Being played on it. So they get very little ad share, or they get very little stuff. So so don't think numbers mean. I've been accused like, oh, Roy, oh yeah, spending that YouTube money. Like as if I got it like that because there's 78,000 subscribers on the channel. Nope. That's not how it works. But if everybody pitched in $1, think about how far we could take this whole thing.
Keith Miller did the math. He said with 78.1 thousand subscribers, if everybody chips in $1.28, we can do this.
Yeah, $1.28, man. Start it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll put on a kilt. I will go out and order one tomorrow.
Get like a Christmas one.
I will order a Christmas kilt. There you go. Oh, but yeah. Yeah, that's just not how YouTube works, sadly. I thought the same thing before I got into YouTube. I'm like, oh, well, when you got subscribers, you got money. No, you don't. You just got people who chose to like, yeah, sure, I'll subscribe. And then never watch your content or only watch 2 minutes of your content and skip on to something else, right? Or minimize you into that little mini view mode and scroll on. We've all done it. Let's be honest. We've all done it. So, no, you can't, Thomas. Not at all. You can't do that at all.
I'm so technologically impaired.
Thomas, if you couldn't hear him on the thing, he's like, oh, you can do that? I'm like, no, you can't. Not at all. You have to watch my videos all the way through. There.
Charming Hollow says he'll have to go rake under his money tree.
You have to do what?
He'll have to rake under his money tree.
Yeah, he'll have to rake under his money tree. I'm sure there's a whole lot of other people getting ready to do that same thing right now, huh? So on this heat, Thomas, we're going to start drawing the pole of the axe down towards the blade to meet the blade down there. So we're going to start drawing that down. So you'll be using the cross of your peen. I'm going to try to hold it on the you know what, I might actually put it up on this fuller. Do it that way. That way we're getting a little extra fullering action. But when I get the drift in it and we put it on here, you know, you're going to have to,
You're stretching the material.
yeah, you're going to have to stand in line like this probably and stretch. We're going to stretch the material. Not big, heavy, hard blows, just here. You know, nice and easy. Just more important that we work it progressively.
Be a power hammer and let you do the work.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right, let's go to the anvil, Jess.
All right.
Anvil cam. All right. And we'll get this inserted real quick. All right. Go ahead. Hit in the center and work down towards the tip. Well, you keep right in the center. Let me move underneath you. Just like we're forging on dies. Well, go the same way. Stay off the middle up here. Stay on the back. Whoa. Stretching things down a little bit.
Cars Thompson sent a beach umbrella super sticker and said, Roy has committed himself to the kilt. The rest is up to us.
Woohoo! How much was that beach umbrella?
$1.49.
$1.49. We're $1.49 closer. We'll keep a tally mark. I'll get a chalkboard. I'm not even lying. I'll get a chalkboard. We'll just keep the tallies. We'll just keep running them up.
Now till Christmas, that's the cutoff, huh?
Yeah. Now till the Christmas giveaway live, just the night before.
And they should, in the title, they'll be like for kilt fun.
Yep, for kilt fun. There you go. That way we have to go back and make sure your donations count. Oh.
Keith Miller sent a $1.49 super sticker of a cat.
And so it begins.
Mountain Home Forge says, I think I'll buy a lottery ticket tomorrow just on the off chance, LOL.
So let's we'll roll that up. Now we got $3 roughly, right? $3. We only have
999,000.
No, we only have 99,997. Yep, left to go. Looky there.
Wayne Hines says, last Christmas he got pelted with snowballs for $100 each. Thanks to Yamaz. That was Yamaz's idea.
We could do that again.
There's no snowballs yet.
There's no snowballs. We'll have to see how much shop snow we get. So yeah. Jessica really enjoyed that. She absolutely had a blast throwing. I think she's been waiting all year.
Oh.
Look at that face. It's devious. It's devious, gentlemen. See it? Look at him. Look at him straight in the eye, Jessica.
Full eye contact.
Full
here.
eye contact. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, she would have done it for 50 a snowball.
Oh, you got the big hole filled though. Are you gonna still get snow in?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll get snow in or not. I hope not.
She's gonna have them already prepared from outside.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to have them freezing in the refrigerator
Like
overnight.
A pile
They're called
this
ice
big.
cubes. They're ice balls.
Stephen Watkins sent a $5 super chat. Said, "Here's another $1.49 times 2.5."
I don't know, Roy. It's still not. It is possible.
Yeah, it is possible. It could happen.
Christmas to make 100K.
It could happen.
Han says at $1.49 per tally mark, the chalkboard will cover one side of the shop.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
But honestly, I wouldn't even be mad. Like, I couldn't be mad for that. Yeah. Nope. Anybody get mad over that for 100K? Like I said, I'm a man of my word. Man of my word. I'll do it. So you guys know where the bar's at.
Sean mentioned maybe they ought to start one of those GoFundMes.
The GoFundMe's.
Imagine the title on that.
Yeah, the GoFundMe's right in my bank account. All you got, I can give you the numbers so you can just transfer it right on in. No GoFundMe needed. They'll be like, why does this blacksmith need to be funded? It's like for the lamest reason ever. It's like you've got GoFundMe set up for like people with cancer and terminal illnesses and things like that, and then here you got this jackwagon GoFundMe to put me in a kilt.
Yeah. Raise $100,000 so Roy will wear a kilt.
Yeah.
In a live stream.
I don't know. Maybe that's not even the worst GoFundMe there's ever been.
Yeah, I'm sure there's worse.
Probably not.
Aaron Skelton says, "I haven't caught a live stream since my little boy was born 2 years ago. Great to see you guys in action."
Hey. Well, congratulations from 2 years ago. Great to have you back. Great to have you back. Thank you for returning.
Chris Eggers, "Does anybody have 2 Bitcoin they want to get rid of? I know a good cause." Debaka Maker, yep, that would raise an IRS flag.
What, 100K? My account?
Or the 2 Bitcoin.
Oh, the 2 Bitcoin?
Either or, maybe.
Yeah. I don't care. I'll talk to them. Let's do it. They're like, how'd you get this? None your business. That's how. Got it from Nunya. It's an investment. Have you ever heard of Nunya?
It was a gift.
Have you ever heard of Nunya?
You were gifted.
No, you never heard of Nunya? It's none your business. That's what it is.
Steve
All right,
Krennic.
enough of that.
Steve Krennic says, "Long time sub, but first live stream. Thank you for doing these. Watching smithing vids on YouTube, you don't get an idea of the patience that goes into waiting for metal to heat. Big surprise when I started."
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of patience involved. So it's like, there's some days like, I'm just like, oh, come on. I just want to get on with it. You know, it's like, but it's like, no, gotta wait for it to get there. Nope.
I've already drank 2 cups of coffee waiting
Nope.
on this.
Yep. I think it's hot enough that we could probably work it just a little bit more. This time we're just going to use the flat of your hammer and we're going to just drive it down over this. That thing was a little too sharp. All right, anvil cam, Jess?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. And we'll go put this drift in real quick. Find me a place for it. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Thomas. We're still drawing to the bottom. Aim to center. Well, gonna do the same thing there. stop. See how we got this rise here? That's what we're trying to get out here.
Okay.
So go ahead and take that on. Whoa. It's got to get worse before it gets better.
How far are we coming up with the drift?
Huh?
Are we drifting it out, or is that about it?
No, it's staying the same. It's basically staying the same.
Okay.
All we're trying to do is move some material around, thin out the eye,
Okay.
and pull down the peen. We're going to draw this down a little bit.
Okay.
So, all right. Here's where we're going with it so far. Got some more work to do, some more straight up work. Someone asked if it was off center. I don't know if that looks off center in the video. It's really not that bad. It might be just a touch. Really not too hateful.
It's for chopping around corners.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bowl gouge. That's what it is. It's a bowl gouge. Did we mention we were making an adze? Not an axe? Go on, Jess. Questions?
All right.
Are we at the main camp?
Hooker Creek Farm says hi.
Hello. Hi. Hi, friend.
David McKinn says hi.
Hello. Oh.
Aussie Auntie Nettie says love the nunyas.
Oh. So, to be real clear on that, I play everything by the book. Everything's straight lace around here. But my feelings on the subject, just like a lot of other red-blooded Americans, yeah, just like anybody else. So, whenever someone's trying to get a hold of the piggy bank, it's okay to tell them nunya from time to time. This is not legal or financial advice. Please talk to your financial professional and a certified public accountant.
So we're about 30 minutes from 7 o'clock. So we're 30 minutes from 7 o'clock. Now might be a good time to mention your class next month? Or this? No, it's this month. Sorry.
I can't hear anything you're saying. You're not talking loud enough.
Would you like to share about your class at the end of the month?
Yeah, I can do that. So, at the end of the month, there's still some spots left for a class I'll be teaching down in Goshen, Ohio. I'll be teaching a Christmas gift class. It will be the weekend directly after Thanksgiving. I do that kind of basically every year, and it's called Christmas Gifts from the Forge. And so I'll be down in Goshen, Ohio, and I'll be teaching down there. So if you're interested in getting in on that class, I think there's still a few spots available. So people ask all the time, well, what are we going to be doing? Whatever my dictates are before I get there. I should have, hopefully next week, by the end of next week, I should have some pictures posted of the items that we're going to work on. But basically, we're going to be working on forged luminaries, or forged things that light up. Basically. So that's what we're going to be focusing on this year. Every year I try to make it something different, something unique, something interesting, something that would be fun to give to your family members or wife, spouse, significant other, right? Things like that. So I try to change it up every year so it's not always the same thing or the same gift, right? Because who wants to come back and spend money again and again for classes like that? So yeah, so if you want to, it's there. Jessica's got the information, I'm sure.
I do.
Pulled up on screen, or did have.
I do.
Oh, you might get me another couple shovels full, Thomas. Oh. Something also to be looking forward to, probably right after the first of the year time frame. Thomas and I are going to be doing some more work together. We're going to be working on some smith and striker tooling. So I've got some videos that'll be coming out on that. You know, basically in my shop, everything's set up for a singular guy because I've never really had, I've had a couple employees in the past, but generally speaking, all of the forging work has always been my sole priority to do. Whenever I've hired people, it's for like grinding or just extra shop help, hold this, right, do that sort of things. So I haven't really had to do a whole lot of smith and striking with anybody, but I do find that I enjoy that, and I really enjoy having Thomas here to help on a project like this. The only thing that's driving me nuts right now is I'm thinking right now as I'm talking, all the tools that would make this job so much easier had I just had those made first. So, but, so yeah, so you guys will see a lot more of Thomas, the illustrious hand model, in the videos upcoming. Like I said, that'll be after the first of the year, when the ground freezes solid.
Is that just the coal right there, or is that the
What?
steel? I'm seeing little sparklies come out.
It's just the coal.
Oh.
Yeah. You won't really see a ton of sparkles when it comes to wrought iron unless it's just white hot.
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be almost to the point where it's nuclear. It's melting
I see.
down, so.
Well, in the last live, this is the first time messing with, rock.
Yeah,
So
yep.
that's why.
Yep, wrought iron doesn't really spark off like mild steel does. When mild steel gets up to welding temp, as soon as it's exposed to air, because of that carbon content in it, it starts sparking and exploding with sparks real fast, pretty rapidly, as where mild steel won't. It might throw a couple little tiny weak sparks, but it'll sizzle and it'll be white, and drippy. It will squirt everywhere on you though, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, as the books are right now for work, we have 4 more jobs to do.
Yeah.
1 more drain field to put in, and just kind of a couple little ones. The floss man's freaking out a little bit because we've already had a couple snows.
Yeah.
So as long as we don't get rain
And freeze,
and
you're good.
then we can get those
Yep.
done. But
Well, let's hope it don't rain and freeze on you until you're ready.
yeah, I definitely want to get those jobs done in. But at the same time, I want to hurry up and call it a season, and so I can come over here.
Yeah, so basically what Thomas and I are talking about is his job gets, basically lays him off during the winter. The type of work he does is septic work, digging in drain fields and setting septic tanks and things like that. And so once the ground freezes solid up here, that's the end of that business until spring.
Yeah.
Well, later spring, just
Yeah,
about,
because
until
the wind
everything's
falls.
fully thawed. So, which is interesting living up here as opposed to Ohio. So Ohio never, it freezes in Ohio, but it never gets to a point where there is we don't have a thaw. It's not like a big thaw. It's never really fully frozen, You get a little frost layer, but it's like a layer of frost. Where around here, you have a big thaw in the spring where everything gets mushy and topsy-turvy
Where the
around here.
20-foot piles of snow melt off that are
Yeah.
by the parking lots.
Yeah,
and-
when the 25-foot piles inside Walmart start melting off, like that sort of stuff. It gets everywhere.
Freeze
So,
down.
show 'em.
So we freeze down about a good foot up, and that's harder. It's like trying to break through concrete.
Yep.
And the chances of you breaking a tooth off a machine at that is actually pretty high. So that gets pretty tough. And then the line of work I do, actually all that drain field has to be perfectly level. So if you take ice cubes out and try throwing them in and put dirt over, well, when it all thaws out, now it's just your field's gonna look crazy, wonky, and that's no good. And I don't like going back and redoing a job that I just spent 3 days doing. So, and it's definitely a lot of work, but fun though.
So basically what he's telling you is he's a working man for a living. And we got to wait until he's not a working man for a living for him to come over here and hang out more. Oh. So that's our story.
Blacksmith says, good work, Roy, and greetings from Germany.
Hello. Greetings from USA, Northern Michigan.
Turner Burn Pot Pie says, I believe Black Collar had a hand in that snowball challenge. True, true.
Yeah, sure did. True, true, true.
Aaron Skelton says, what are you running for smoke evacuation in the new place?
Nothing. 32 foot of building space above me. And the cracks that you see in the walls. Eventually I will put in a, when I build the stone hearth in here that I plan on doing, I will actually put in a hood, and it will be a power evacuated exhaust hood. So it will actually pull the smoke, any smoke that I will have, up and out. And there are several reasons for that. In a building like mine, that you could call it just atmospheric, or a building without walls, or really terrible walls, or big windows, or gigantic doors open, you do not get the pressure differential that's needed to induce draft on its own. So you have to induce draft by a mechanical means if you expect the smoke to flow up and out. Convection heat, the process of it actually flying up the flue by itself, heat-wise, that works in some locations, small things, but it is all reliant upon, once that heat basically dies off, that smoke will sit in the stack and it won't go nowhere. It just dumps out. As soon as there's a wind gust outside, it'll just push and fill your shop back up. So in certain circumstances, if you have a very open building, you have to provide power draft in order to take and draft the things out. The reason why your modern homes, and I can speak with authority on this because I used to be a heating and air conditioning specialist or guy, HVAC guy, if you will. The reason why your modern homes don't fill back in with carbon monoxide is because they induce draft. One, they do that as a safety measure. But two, even with that, there's enough pressure inside of the home in the wintertime, or heating wise, in the wintertime, there's enough pressure differential that exhaust gas would go right up and out the flue, regardless of whether they put a power draft in it or not. So it works on that kind of principle. So if you're in your shop and you're sucking up a lot of smoke, or you're getting a lot of downdrafts, or you're getting a lot of stuff where it's blowing smoke back in your face and it's not really drafting really well, either your shop's too open, to provide that, and you need to add some power drafting to it. There's a lot of little issues that you can fix along the way there, but most commonly that's what it is. Your shop's too open. Close a door, close up some of your windows, and get that pressure differential building.
Wayne Hines says, other than aesthetic, do you see an advantage to forge welded bits over one-piece forging?
One-piece forging is going to be the best. As far as forge welding in a bit, the only advantage here is technically, even without Thomas, I could do this by myself because it's wrought iron. It's really soft to work. I can take and make, that as a solid chunk of material, trying to slit and drift open a hole through it and things would take quite a long time. Whereas with just a wrapped die is fairly fast with thinner material, right? It doesn't have to be as chunky or as huge. So that's effective in that way. Oh, I'm actually going to get this pole hot and I'm going to try to weld it up. Wish you guys could hear the forge, but it makes a clear different sound once you get the proper amount of air going into it.
Did it just make like a whoosh sound once you adjusted it?
It makes a whoosh once air comes up through.
Robert Cornelia says, hey Roy, totally off subject. Great bench class down in Goshen.
Hey Robert. Hey, did you get your bench finished yet? The way you like it?
Bortagov says, I'm making a wrought iron hammer. What steel would you recommend for the steel face and peen? Would 5160 be okay?
5160 will be fine. You'd have better luck with a 10 series, like a 1045, a 1060, 1075 max on it. You could go up to 1095, but it'd be a little bit more I wouldn't do 1095. It's just a little too high on the carbon content. But 5160 would work fine. You'll just have to watch your temps and be gentle with it. All right, go to the anvil cam, Jess.
All right.
I'm fine on this heat. Just gonna try to. All right, back in the fire. We'll finish out this heat. Do some shaping.
Robert Cornelius sent a $20 super chat and said, my dad would say colder than a miner's behind. I substitute that word. So we don't get a strike.
Colder than what?
A colder than a coal miner's behind.
Yeah, colder than a coal miner's behind.
Pure Hearts Homestead says, greetings from Arkansas. Jesus saves.
Amen. Greetings.
Aaron Skelton says, cracks in the wall are working great.
They are. They're sucking things right out. Now, also, just to mention, do you notice there's no smoke coming off this? There's ash, there's dust that should be contended with, and that's the main reason for putting a hood in my particular case. But that's because I'm burning coke. I'm not burning green coal. So, just something to keep in mind. It does matter what type of fuel you're using as well.
Robert said that yes, he did get the bench finished. He'll have to send you a picture.
Super awesome, dude. So glad.
Mace Man said, so I've cracked many a punch/drift made from 1045 making handled tools. When the tools get stuck and heat to red, do I need to do a full reheat treat to prevent this?
In 1045 doing what? What type of tool? What is a punch?
Making
drift?
Yeah, so he's saying if it gets hot to red, does it have to be reheat treated on 1045?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it's red, you've already lost it long before then. So 1045 is a great tough material. If you're making drifts, don't harden and temper. There's no point. It's a tough material. It's not a hard material. If you're trying to make like hot punches and slitters and things like that, 1045, yeah, it's not really your thing. It's not going to hold up well to heat. Heat's going to get to it and affect it real quick, and you're going to pretty much lose the temper in your edge type tools fairly quickly. It wasn't ever really intended for that. 1045 is great for pry bars and rock bars and hammers and anything where it's struck or flatters or set hammers or fullers and things of that nature. It's really great for that. But for stuff like slitting chisels and small punches and things like that, it's not really great for those applications unless you're really particular about cooling after every other blow or so. You're going to lose the temper out of them fairly quick. They're just not a super great hot work steel. The other portion of the 10 series going up, 1065, 1075, 1095, it has higher carbon content in it, but it's still not a great heat resistant steel. It loses its temper pretty darn quick.
Jeffrey Redinger says, I see y'all brought out the winter gear, LOL. Yeah, we've been having some 30-degree temperatures here and there.
This morning it was 27.
27 degrees when Thomas got up this morning. Cold. Cold.
And I had to work on the water, so.
All right, Thomas, I'm going to bring this out. When I bring it out and put the drift in it, and then we are going to focus on the pole, the very end bit. Okay. So don't hammer up on the eye. We're just focusing all of our blows on the pole, and I'll do that over.
Okay, the pole's the back end.
Yeah, the pole's the very back end. Yep. So I'll hold it out close here, and I'll just have you kind of work on that after the drift's in it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, babe, you can go to the anvil can.
All right.
Yeah. Whoa. Good. Whoa. Drive a little bit of that out there on the corner, this corner. Let's see where we're at here. All right. Well, we close that up more. Now you can take it up to a little welding heat. Hopefully close that gap. Good. So I'm kind of fighting issues right now. This is the point where normally I'm going to see if I can't do something with it because we're already into this project. But at this point, I would have probably just tossed this thing already and started over. You do reach a certain point, critical mass, if you will, where it's time to give up and move on, start again. As I said at the beginning of this whole thing, it's kind of a bit of an experiment, right? Because I don't make much of these. I was going to see if that was enough, the material was enough, things like that. I would have liked maybe a bit more material. I should have made it a little bit longer, changed a few things, forged some stuff out differently. So at a certain point, you have to cut your losses. So you might have a crack in somewhere that you don't like. You just have to take it as a learning experience and move on. A lot of times you spend too much time as a smith. I've done it for a lot of years. It changed a lot for me when I started doing it as a profession. I really had to learn to let go. When you've done it as a profession for as long as I have, you learn to let go of stuff and say, okay, it's steel, they make more. Drop it off to the side and do something else. It's like, it's time to let it go, right? As a beginner, it's really tough to let something go that maybe you've put 10 hours into or 12 hours into this thing, but yet it's not shaping up the way it should, and you know it. But it's really hard to let your little baby go there, but you do have to. Time thing. Think of it like you're Rose, and that piece of steel is like Jack. You're on the door. Jack is not. Boich! Let him go. Let him go. Be a liar. Just let him go. Drop that guy like an anchor, like a dead weight. I'll never let go, Jack. I'll never let go. Bloosh. Goodbye. Thanks for the ring, my friend.
He's never let that go.
Huh?
Ever since you've seen that movie, that's the part you hate the most, right?
You know what would have been more poetic? She get in the drink with him. She never gonna let go. Stands to reason, right?
I guess so.
I'll never let go, Jack. Bye.
Metaphorically, she was never gonna let go. You took it.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just say I won't ever trust you out in the middle of an ocean somewhere.
Oh, that's why you don't like going on
we
the
are
ocean
both
with me,
getting
huh?
on that door. That's what's going to happen.
You know, I never understood that. With all the other boats that are around, why didn't they try to paddle over to another boat and got on it?
Yeah, they all just swam in one spot
Yeah.
and didn't even attempt to swim for the life rafts. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of flaws in that movie. A lot of flaws.
Maybe that was their plan the whole time.
It was. Conspiracy theory.
Yes. Well, while we have a few minutes while that heats up, I'm going to show the little slideshow of our Christmas ornaments.
Well, go for it. Talk through it then.
All
She's
right.
got something to show you.
I do. I got, we kind of like, every time we do a live stream, we have updates that we try to squeeze in somewhere during the live stream. So some of the pictures that are going through here are some new ornament designs we have this year. Last year we only had 2, and so this year we have over 20. So if you're wanting to make any Christmas presents or even sell these, we have them available. Most of the designs are $4 each, and if you get a pack of 10 or more, you actually get a discount. So yes. Oh yeah, also I was going to mention that we have a new ad campaign that come out, so you might see our ad playing on YouTube.
Nope.
I just didn't know how it is in there.
Just try not to burn it up, though. That's my only. All right, you done talking?
Uh-huh.
All right. Am I back? Can they hear me?
Yes.
Are we making waves?
Yep, you're back.
All right, so what I'm going to do is there's a little crack. There's a little bit of a crack there, like I said, on the pole. I'm going to try to weld that together. If it doesn't weld, doesn't take, I'm just going to leave it as a crack like that. I'll probably just finish out the rest of it. And worst case scenario, I'll put a little bit of MIG on that just so it don't ever open up and cause something worse. Again, this is going to be my boy's axe, and he's going to go whack around on trees and whatnots with it. So it doesn't have to be super, super perfect. This was an experiment. So we'll, and again, I'm not partial to it. If I really don't like it, it'll get chucked in the scrap bin and I'll make something else. That's how it works. All right, so this is getting hot. Let's go to the anvil, Jess.
All right.
I'm going to try to weld up this pole. There's a little bit of that crack there. That actually did look like it welded good, so that's good. See how that transpires in the long run. Who knows? But there's still a little bit of a gap in there. The surfaces are kind of blended together, so it did take care of some of that. You probably can't see it at that stage, can they? Straighten a few things out. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. I promise, I have a direction I'm trying to go with this thing. It's wonky right now. We're going to put the drift in there. We're going to straighten that up on this next heat. And we're going to start drawing out the blade.
Just so you know, babe, it's 7:02 p.m.
7:02. Good to go.
Mace Man says, MIG welding wrought iron. Never done that before.
You can. It's not very structural, but it doesn't like it because it's dirty. So don't expect a pretty weld on it.
Looks like an aggravated chicken.
Oh yeah. How do you even come up with this stuff? Thomas said it looks like an aggravated chicken.
High Desert Forge says, Roy, you forgot to use flux on it before welding.
Shut it.
We talked about that earlier in
Yep.
the stream. He just doesn't want to get tackled.
Yep, I don't want to get tackled by Thomas. He's in the shop now.
The Bachmaker said, LOL, if Roy pulled out the flux, Troy would suddenly appear and tackle him.
He'd teleport here and just be BAM! Out of nowhere, Phil.
Jeff Calvin, welcome.
Hello, hello. How many people we have in the stream, Jess?
I think somebody said 74.
74.
Up to 81 now.
81. Well, right on. Thank you all for being here. I know this is about like watching kids play in mud, right? Little cringy, but also very entertaining. Glad to have you here.
Robert Lana says the Christmas ornament blanks are great fun to forge. They are definitely worth the purchase. Glad you enjoyed working on those, Robert.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
I actually just, Robert, I asked to use some of his photographs, and he did such a great job on working on the ornaments that I added those to the listings last night. So, you know, you see the pictures of the blanks plain, but then you can see at the end, you know, one possibility of what it could look like.
I've been seeing a lot of your guys' Christmas blanks.
People making them up and
Instagram, and some of the ways that people transform those is
Yeah.
beautiful.
People are coming up with some really neat ways of doing it.
I saw the one with it was a little house and they put copper doors.
Yep, that
Yep,
was
that was
Robert.
Robert Lannis's, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Did he rivet those on, or how did he attach the copper?
Yeah,
You'll
what'd you
have
do
to
there,
ask
Robert?
Is he in?
Yeah, he's in here. When he answers, I'll let you know. But yeah, some of them, he had like the word joy, behind the joy, he put like a copper circle and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was curious about the joinery on that.
All right, we can go to the anvil cam, Jess.
All right.
All right, we're gonna start cleaning this up. Looking good. Here, go ahead.
That's one thing a power hammer can't do.
Yep, all them different angles, weird angles and whatnot.
Hi, Wiley.
Yeah, it's finally shaping up to be something, huh?
Robert Honest answered. He said he used epoxy glue to attach the copper.
What do you use?
Epoxy glue. That's what
Epoxy
the copper looked
glue?
like. It
Okay.
might be maybe a little thicker than what I used for tooling foil, you know. So that makes sense.
I need do.
Wilson Ranch Forge says no. Troy would be beamed in from the Enterprise. Captain Kirk is more in tune with the Force. Did you lose something?
No, I was just trying to find a way to straighten this thing out, but I think I just have to go over the horn, potentially. I'll look at the curve here.
Do you have 2 bars that we can put down?
Well, that's not what I'm trying to do. There's a bend. Right now, are we in the main cam? Mm-hmm. So right now, the whole axe head's got an upswept to it like this. So it's got a bend in here where the curve is. So I need to drive that back out. yeah, wanted to do that. I don't have a top fuller to be able to drive it down. So I'm going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and hold a bar. Need a longer one than that, but basically I'm going to have to hold a bar or put a bar in it on top to use as a top fuller and have Thomas strike on it there. Oh. Nah, it's a piece of pipe. It won't hold up. Let me we'll use this. I'll just get a bigger pair of tongs. Get a pair of tongs to work with it. Now during this whole experience, I've been actually keeping the blade or the edge portion of the axe up out of the fire. I've only been heating the pole. I've been trying to heat the pole and the eye and keep the blade out of it to avoid that axe edge spending a lot of time at high temperatures, because there's a high carbon bit in there, and we don't want it to. Basically, we don't want it to have a lot of grain growth in it. Is what I'm trying to say. So we don't want to have a ton of grain growth with it. All right, Thomas, you ready? All right. You go to the anvil cam, Jess?
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
Okay. Be real accurate with it. Aim right dead center. There we go. One more. Let's try to hit it back there a little bit. Yeah. Good. It's looking nicer, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Looking nicer all the time. Got that fairly straight. Set this down. Give me a second. Let's go ahead and get it set up here. Go ahead and hit it right there. Okay, a little more. One more. Okay. All right, that's good. Adjust this up a bit. Good. Dressing out nice. Does that look good to you on the screen, Jess?
It does, yeah.
You see it all right?
Yeah, looks like you got it all ironed out.
Yep. All right, we're gonna draw this blade out a little bit. And then that's where once we get that drawn out and a little bit of dressing work, we'll call that good on the stream.
Are we drawing it straight out or down towards like the handle?
It's gonna get drawn down.
Straight.
Down towards the handle and then out a little bit. So just to thin it a little bit. Not a ton, just a little. Questions, Jess? Comments?
DK Ironworks says, given a hey and a like on my work lunch.
Hey!
Mace Man said, I recently worked with a novice striker for a Halloween exhibition. I made a split cross and a pitchfork. Though he was a little too rough on my top tools and split 3 handles, finished the work though.
Woohoo! Well, I mean, that's all that matters. At least you finished the work. Yeah, when you're working with somebody who's novice, it does take a little bit. You got to work a little at a time, you know. Just take your time, go easy. So, until you get good with each other and you really know each other's rhythms and stuff, you really shouldn't be swinging for the fences when it comes to forging. If you are, you're just asking for calamity to happen.
Ooh, Dana, thanks for reminding me. Says, Jess, any idea on the Christmas giveaway stickers? No, I completely forgot about that.
She forgot.
I did.
She forgot.
I'm going to add myself a reminder to do that.
Keep this good and hot. Good thing it won't take the blade end as long as to heat as the pole does. Another common technique to fix cracks in wrought iron. If you've got cracks forming or some other stuff in the grain, now you can't forge it after this, but it is a way of repairing it and making it still a useful item. And it's a pretty common historic way of actually repairing cracking or stuff in wrought iron, is you can actually braze them shut. So you can heat up, you throw just a tiny bit of flux on the area with a tiny bit of brass and heat it up in the forge. A lot of times people will wire, they might wire the brass to it and then cut the wire off later, file it off. But if you can balance the little piece of brass on there, or if you've got a brass rod that you can stick in the fire, most of the time it was like little chunks of brass that they would use. But if you've got brass, you can heat that edge up, or not the edge, but heat the crack up, put a little flux, and then drop a little bit of brass on there and let it just melt right in. And what that'll do is that'll fill that crack full of brass, and it'll bond it. It's not a weld, but it's still brazing those two halves together where that crack won't propagate throughout the whole piece. Then you file it and finish it like you would. So you can even heat treat it and everything else, because again, you're only trying to heat treat the blade end, so that's the only end that's going to get super hot for you to quench, right? What would actually be the blade end. So that's one other method of fixing cracking that you may have. Now you can't do that on, if your high carbon steel bit didn't weld in properly. That's not good. It's not a high impact thing. It's not something that you can take a lot of impact with. It is something that is just for fixing superficial or surface cracking, things like that. They would just fill it in with a bit of brass, file it off clean, and by the time they stuck that in fire and got it all dirty and oily and whatnot and put their beeswax finish on it, you'd never know it was there.
Mace Man said he got the attention of quite a few people. He was just super happy to spark people's interest doing the demo.
Who's that?
Mace Man. Mace
Man? Got the attention of who?
Quite a few people at his demonstration.
Yeah,
he was
cool.
happy to spark people's interest.
Cool. That's what it's all about. Get more people in the craft.
Ben Strickland, hello.
Hello, Ben.
Daniel Crawford said, made it to a wedding, gotta go, love all, blessings.
See you, Daniel. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
Yep, Whistling Ranch, the apron was made by Chip Brown. He's the guy who owns Brown Cow Art, and he does a lot of really nice leather work.
Yeah, he mainly works like Renaissance festivals and things like that, and Irish shows and things. But yeah, does some phenomenal leather work. Any other questions I can answer, Jess?
No.
No? Everybody's getting tired, huh?
Yeah, must be.
Everybody's drying it up?
Getting good and sleepy.
Oh, good, good. They're all winding down.
Guess now's a good time to mention, next time is our Swedge Block giveaway live stream. So
Yep.
make sure you're here for that.
The next live stream we do will be our Year of the Swedge Block giveaway live stream. It'll be the 11th Swedge Block we've given away here on the channel. Thank you to all the contributions by viewers like you, like the people who've contributed this evening, and all the channel members, and all the super chatters and things like that. That's what provides the money to buy the Swedge Blocks. And Greg at Holland Anvil you know, helped us out with a reduced cost on them. So this way we could do that out. So we partnered out with him and this year, which has been awesome. Definitely will do in the future. We've got some plans in the future for more partnerships like that. And so that's been a true blessing. Really happy to have that partnership and that friendship to be able to bless different blacksmiths in the smithing community. Oh.
Stick around and see what the future brings.
Yep. Stick around and see what the future brings. If you're into that whole thing. Or if you just want to win a swag block, subscribe. Watch all my videos.
All many of them.
I should do an Easter egg hunt at some point on all my videos. You know, that way everybody has to go through all of the videos
That
to
would be
search
great.
all the right answers in order to fill it out and do a scavenger hunt through my videos.
You could do that for Christmas live stream next year. So like starting January 1, like then it's interdispersed throughout the videos. So it's like a year's worth of videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying on my old videos.
Oh.
I'll go through all my old videos and pick out certain videos to...
Oh, like where you said catchphrases or something?
Well, yeah, certain phrases I
Yeah.
use, certain tools I use, certain situations, certain timestamps you have to find. Yeah, do that. That way I can trick the YouTube algorithm.
Make sure they're in the middle of your video so they have to watch the whole thing.
Yeah. What's funny is that would take people a lifetime, more than a year, to get through them all. So I think we're over 1,600 videos on YouTube right now. I've lost count. I've lost track. We have a bunch.
Ben Strickland says, I accidentally burnt the end of a cross peen I'm making. Do I have to scrap it or just grind through it?
Depends on how bad the burn is. If it's just on like the corners or edges or something like that, you can probably just grind past it and be okay. You know, again, you're dealing with a pretty thick mass of material. If it is a deep burn where you're seeing like face cracking and things like that, like the whole thing got roasty, then you should scrap it and start over. But if it's like a corner got melted off, you can grind past that or reforge it and then grind past it and just end up with a little smaller face or something. So, all right, Thomas, we're gonna come out and we're just gonna use the face of the hammer just to draw this out. I'll just hit where I hit. Okay, we got the anvil, Jess?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Way to drop it, Roy. Way to drop it.
Been a bit of a butterfingers today, huh? Probably the wrong tongs.
I just don't have tongs to hold material like this.
Yeah.
This ain't my thing. Until we can make some tongs. So what I'm looking for right now is I'm looking for squareness and taking out any little bows I may have. Hold up. Right there. Now we're just smoothing stuff up. Yay, yay, yay. Well, I'll have to do just kind of a tiny bit more drift work on this. Put a little drift back in there, dress it once more with the drift on it. And there's a crack back here on the eye that I'll have to fix with a little bit of brazing, a little bit of forge brazing. But other than that, that's pretty good. Pretty good. We got a little bit of drift work we got to do. One last pass with the drift. Straighten things up with fuzz. And we'll be looking all right. What are they thinking, Jess?
Let's see. Dana says, gotta go everyone. Have a great weekend. Great live stream, Roy and Jess.
Hey, glad you liked it. Take care. Who's leaving? Was that Dana?
Dana. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take care, Dana. Thanks for being around, bud.
Baxter says, I'm 14 and I might try to forge an axe. Right now I'm working on a sword.
Okay. Well, congratulations for getting into the craft. Have fun.
Wayne says, I'm sure Craftsmanship Ironworks might have a video on tong making if you need a refresh.
Yeah. No, I'm actually holding off on making tongs. I've got something special for making tongs. I've been trying to hold off for a little while now. Eventually I'll get to it. I've went through various stages. At one time I had 400 pairs of tongs. Then I've sold off a bunch. I gave a whole bunch away. You know, I'm down to kind of like the bare essentials now, where I can do most things. This type of work's not really a thing I do. So I would need to make some specialty tongs if I was going to pursue a lot more of this type of work. For sure, would have to get some other different types of tongs there. But yeah, all intents and purposes though, I have a plan for my next set of tongs, and I haven't made any more tongs because I don't want to have a mix mock set. That's it. And right now I got a big mix mock set. I'm going to have some uniformity when I go and I actually make my tongs, and I'll probably just give away all my other tongs once I do make my new tong set. But it's not going to be your average pair of tongs. They will be very decorative and ornate. My next tong set will be.
See, Dylan Corwin said, Roy, I had a question earlier on your thoughts about W-steel for its air hardening on punches. Is it worth the money? LOL.
Say what?
Is W-steel
like W1, W2?
Worthwhile for air hardening on punches, if it's worth the money?
I'm not sure of any W steel that is air hardening. Like W1, W2, like those are water and oil. Like O1, O2, those are oil predominantly. So I'm not quite sure on the air hardening portion of it. I would actually have to consult my book to be able to do that. As far as worth the money, all tool steel is just like tools. There's different grades of steel for different purposes. So the value of it is based upon what you're using it for. If you're making drifts out of it, not worth your time spending that kind of money. Most of the drifts in my shop are all mild steel. And I've got some drifts that are made from mild that I've used weekly, several times a week, in fact, that I've had for a decade now. And they're just mild steel drifts. You got to straighten them a little or dress them up, but who cares? It's mild steel and it's cheap. And likewise, I've got stuff made out of 1045 and things like that. Hammers, all sorts of different stuff. So tool steel, there's different grades of steel. and they have their advantages and disadvantages over others. But it's all dependent on the tool itself, right? The tool itself. If you're looking for heat resistance, you can't go wrong with S7 and like H13. Those are your top dogs, but they're not, H13's not a great impact steel. S7's much better for that purpose if you're needing the impact resistance, right? If you're needing that to hold up to impact resistance. As where S7 is less nice for dies under presses. It's going to wear out quicker than what H13 will. So again, it's based upon what you're using it for, whether it's actually worth anything or not. Most smithing, and I recommend most people just getting into this, start with your simple carbon steels. Your simple 10 series high carbon steels. Start with that. Your simple carbon steels. You can always go up from there. You can always get some weird exotic alloy and whatever, but always start with your simpler carbon steels first. You'll be glad that you did. In fact, I've got a whole video on drifts and how to make them and my thoughts on drift and tooling and using mild steel as tools. And in that video, I mentioned very specifically about tools, mild steel tools. I make sure that I do a post run of what I want to forge before I do any high carbon work. I do it in mild steel first. Kind of like working in clay first before you go to mild steel. Well, I work in mild steel before I go to a high carbon steel to make sure my profiles are going to work, make sure what I'm thinking in my head's actually going to work before I waste, $400 in steel, right? I'd rather waste $40 in steel than $400. So just something to keep in mind there. But if you're just starting out, for anybody who's listening to this, who's just starting out, start with your simple carbon steels. Don't get some weird exotic alloys to start playing with first unless you're a metallurgist and you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just going to have a bad time and you're going to have a ton of guesswork to come out with a result. Not that you can't. If that's what you like to do, go ahead, but that doesn't sound like a fun time to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to put the drift in this. I need you, Thomas.
Oh. Yeah, I've got the big camera on, but you're fine. You can walk around.
All right. Where'd it go?
Flatter.
Flatter, yeah. There it is. Alrighty. Well, that's going to be good enough. I'm going to have to do some fixing on this thing if I plan on using it. It's got some cracking in it. All that can be taken care of with some brass and a little bit after the grind. It's a camp hatchet. I'm definitely going to change some things before I go on to the real deal. Predominantly my tooling. I've spent too much time fussing about with dropping axes and not having the right sets and things like that. As you can see, we kind of opened up a little crack again there. It's starting to split out. That was welded. It is welded, but because I drove that drift in and it was a bit cooler, remember, wrought iron, it splits along the grain, right? The grain structure. So when I welded that in, it started, it's opening up there on that end there, and we've got a little side cracking that I'll have to take and deal with. But in general, that's the axe form we're going for. Not too bad for a first go of it. This is where I'd like to say, like, this is what gets missed on YouTube. This is what gets lost in translation on YouTube. We can go back to the main cam, Jess.
Okay.
This is going to be kind of some final words I think I'll leave people with. Oftentimes on YouTube, you are seeing the result of an entire process. And that entire process might take days, weeks, months, hours, years to figure out the specific tooling and how you hold stuff and the right materials and the right masses and the right volumes. And you're seeing an end product. And we're so used to, it grinds my gears as a creator, but I do it too. So again, I'm preaching to the choir, I'm preaching to the choir here, right? I don't have a leg to stand on this one, but we're so used to saying, okay, yep, I know how to do that. Yep, okay, yep, and scroll through and you go to the end of the video, okay, there's the product and it's finished. That's not reality. That is not the reality of smithing. That's not how smithing works. So it ends up when you're a beginner and you're watching YouTubers, it's kind of a self-feeding cycle. Now YouTubers don't include all the failures. They don't include the thought process anymore because no one's sitting there listening to the video for 30 minutes. They're not. They're there 2 minutes of that 30 minutes. And so that just hurts you in the YouTube space. So it's a self-feeding cycle. It's a spiral. So you put less and less and less information in there. What is the problem with doing that? If you put less and less information, new beginners and people who are coming to learn a process, they're not getting the whole story, right? They're just getting the sound bites. They're like, oh, okay, wrought iron, wrap it, bit, grind, heat treat, chop down forest. That's it. And you got to find a way of getting to that conclusion as fast as humanly possible because nobody wants to listen to some guy talk for 20 minutes about edge geometry, except for the really, truly die-hard people who want to actually learn something, right? But YouTube doesn't reward that. YouTube doesn't reward that. They reward poppy music, flash and dance, finish the video as soon as possible before people click away from what they're scrolling on. So when you're just getting started out, the reality is things are going to take you a long time. There is a lot of stuff in my scrap pile. Lot of stuff I've taken, tons, literal tons of material I've hauled to the scrap yard of failures, after learning curve, after rapid design change, after rapid design change. I've literally taken tons in my smithing career to the scrapyard. That's it. That's the reality of it. So when you're getting into it and you're like, hey, I'm 12 years old and I'm gonna be the Liam Hoffman of the world. I'm gonna forge the greatest axes ever. If you start now, you're going to have a decade-long journey to get to that point. Blacksmithing has always been an old, slow craft, and it always will be. You don't win it overnight. No one that you see that's doing masterful work out there did it overnight. They didn't get there overnight. They weren't handed it. You can have all the fancy, expensive equipment in the world and still not forge worth a lick. Period. That's the way it works. You cannot bypass the learning curve. So just like on this piece, I'm proud to admit I'm not happy with it. It's not where I would like it to be. This would never leave my shop if I was going to be selling these. Not happy with it. It's not where it needs to be, and that's the end of story. This would go to the scrap pile, right? Jessica's looking.
Make sure you didn't throw it on something that shouldn't be on.
Right? That's where it belongs. But I'm going to kind of press through. I'm going to clean it up. My boy won't know the difference. He'll just be glad to have something from his daddy, and be able to whack on things, right? Like, that's it, okay? But knowing now, like, okay, this whole time while I've been talking and demonstrating, I've been thinking, I need this tool. I need to make that tool. I need to make this adjustment here. I need to have a pair of tongs to hold it for this step. And that comes from experience and over time. And I have to do that on every big custom job I get in. It's a never-ending process. It's like, okay, I'm entering into new waters here, new territory. All right, I'm gonna have to change things up in order to be able to continue on with this. I might have to make more dies for something or get a different piece of tooling. Or sometimes the simplest thing is the best thing to do. The simplest option and most straightforward is the way to take care of the job versus some complex jig and fixture, right? But that comes with experience and time. So if you're joining us and you're a beginner and you see things, I think it's important for you to look at YouTube with a grain of salt. Look at educators on YouTube with a bit of a grain of salt. Not that their information is not valid, it's just we're pressed into feeding you sound bites of information, right? Okay, this is pertinent. All of this was pertinent, but no one's going to watch it anyhow, and YouTube's going to tax me for it. So I guess all that can go. Here's the main headline items that need to be in this video. And it all gets chopped up and put together. And it makes, unfortunately, the content always look like a merry bed of roses, right? You don't see the guy who's made 8 of those that day. And they didn't quite come out just like he wanted and had to start over again and again and again. So don't feel bad that you're roasting or you're burning stuff up. Don't feel bad that you punched an eye off center on a hammer head. Everyone's done it. Pitch it into the scrap pile, start another hammer, do another hole, right? Constantly do that type of refining work for yourself, and you will eventually get there where you too could become a YouTuber and put everything in a 4-minute soundbite of a 40-hour project.
Oh.
There you go.
Which, speaking of that, Black Collar Ironworks had said you guys have 1,613 videos that you two made. Congrats.
1,613? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for sticking around for 1,613. And if you're just beginning, trust me, you won't get through them all. I had somebody the other day said they had only been watching for like 2 weeks. And they said, I've watched all your videos. It's like, no, you haven't. It's not even possible to watch. Even if you watched them at 15x speed, all of them, you're not going to get through with just 2 weeks of watch time. Not happening. Oh.
Eric said, it's hard enough to remember my kids' names. Now we have to remember what Roy said 3.72 minutes into his 42nd video. I'm out of that one. Scavenger hunt.
Exactly. So, well, and I get this question a lot. And I get it now. It used to bug me and really perturb me. And still now it kind of does a little bit. Because I guess I'm a dying breed on YouTube a bit. I can't speak in sound bites. That's just not how I do things. You won't see me like weirdly pause, like, today we're going to forge an axe. It's going to be great. Because you're counting off the seconds to give you editing time so you can chop that bit out and edit together for a jump cut, right? I can't do that. I just can't do that. The only way I can do that is when I take a breath, like a longer breath, where I'm like, because I've wore myself out from talking. And then I'll edit that out and like, oh, here's a good place for me to get rid of 20 minutes of needless video footage that no one's going to watch anyhow. So that's the only time I can do a jump cut. But yeah, it used to bug me. Again, all the information is in the videos. I'm dedicated to continuing to put all the information in the videos. If you haven't seen a measurement, it's because you flew past it. 99% of the time. I put the measurements in there. I write it on the steel. I'll put it on chalkboard or whatever. It'll be in there. I'll mention it, right? It'll be in there. If you skip over the first 3 minutes of the video because you're trying to get to the juicy stuff, and then you ask me in the comment section, what measurement was that again? I ain't going to help you out because I don't have time for that. Not on 1,600 plus videos. I don't have time for that. to do that. So all the information is there. If I've done a terrible job of presenting the information and it's not there, I'm more than happy to try to update that. And I know which videos I do where I don't put the information in, and when I get questions, I answer those. But but if it's a tutorial, you better believe the information's in there. It might be a 25, 30-minute long tutorial, but the information's there. So you just have to skim back through and find it out. What I need one of those people that come through and, like, on every video, give the timestamps where I talk about stuff. People have said I should do that. It's just not going to happen. I'm just not I'm not that tech savvy to go back in. I really can't be bothered. I really can't be bothered with it. Like, I'm going to go back and watch my 45-minute long video that I spent 7.5 hours making.
You're more
and
of a
compressing
fire and
it to that
forget.
point. I'm a fire and
When it comes to
forget
your
kind of
videos.
guy. Yep.
Quick at it when you can.
Yeah. Anyways, so it was a good stream, I think.
Yeah.
Thomas, thank you for all your great help.
Yes.
Greatly appreciated it. But yeah, it's fun to work with a striker, but that's why we'll be having some we'll be having some content coming out when Thomas's work gets all to making some top tools, because top and bottom tools, things that we could do smith and striking with, because good Lord, it's a nightmare working on this axe tonight. Been frustrating. It's quite frustrating. Like, if I just had, but I don't. So
You just move it this much.
like, if I could just, but I don't have the right tool to do the job. Bugs me. Any questions, Jess? Comments, complaints, concerns?
Let's see.
good.
Daniel Brooks, do you keep a journal on info on each completed item?
No. Nope.
Closest thing we have to that is a listing. If we made a listing of something, it gets deactivated when the item sells, but a lot of times it'll have the finalized, dimensions and stuff, but that doesn't necessarily help you.
Yeah, as far as like a ledger, like of like the items and like how much I scrolled, whatever, and things of that nature, unless it's going to be a project that I know that I'll be doing again and again and again and again, I don't have anything like that. Some people think I'm bragging about this. I've literally have made thousands of items for people in the time I've been forging and doing it for a profession. So yeah, just keeping up with all that's just not possible. Yeah, it's just not. Generally speaking, if I get a project where, even if it's 6-7 years ago, or even a decade ago, I've had some people come back and say, hey, I want another one just like this one. Usually just takes me getting in on the project for it to jog my memory of the different steps I used to actually obtain that. And the difficult part is, if you have somebody who's going that far back, they're getting a 7-year they're getting a 7-year younger Roy of skill and tooling and everything else. So that's the hardest part, is to try to figure out the process you used and replicate rough work, right? Like, I'm much better now than back then, so it's a lot harder to do that going back so far. But in general, I don't do that kind of work anymore, replicate stuff where it's been too long. I'm only moving forward at this point. Great question. Next question. Before we cut out.
Baxter, how old were you when you started blacksmithing?
19. So 19 years old.
Yep.
33 now. The math and stuff. Long enough, huh?
Oh yeah, you've got many a years to go.
Yeah. Yeah, many years to go yet, hopefully. Good Lord willing. Good Lord willing. So, all right. Well, shall I sum it up then?
Yes.
Should I sum it up? Oh, I forgot one thing. Forgot one thing that I wanted to say. So, just to sum up this whole deal, this is something that I came up with, and I've been debating a little bit, and I kind of debated before we even did this stream, but I think I want to put it out there just to have that accountability factor going forward. And if you need to leave, you can check out or whatever. If this part's not up for you, this people who care anyhow. But I'm going to be doing for the whole month of November. My goal is to take whatever orders come in through our plasma cutting side of the business, all the blank orders, including everything that's come in already this month for the whole month of November. And I'm going to be taking 10% of that off the top, and I'm actually going to be donating that to a charity. Most likely we're going to do St. Jude's, I guess, for the Children's Hospital, for like cancer kids, things of that nature. So I'm going to do that on top of our normal giving and stuff we do around this time of year, and the blacksmith giveaways and everything that we're doing. And the reason for that, and the reason why I'm mentioning it, don't think of this as a thing like, yeah, go over there and buy my blanks and I'll give 10% of it. That's not what this is about. Ever since my oldest girl was born about 11 years ago. 11 years ago when my oldest was born, we actually had to spend quite a bit of time in the newborn intensive care unit with her. And with that, we actually stayed at like the Ronald McDonald House, and we had all of our, our stay completely covered while we were basically having to just be there daily. One of us would be with her while one of us would crash at the Ronald McDonald House and stuff like that. And so I've always had it on my heart and mind to do something to give back. And we've done a couple different things and donated several times to like the Ronald McDonald House and various food pantries and things. And that's just part of our regular giving that we do behind the scenes. That's never a public thing. But I feel with YouTube and with the channel the way it is, that there's, I was just thinking the other day, with 78,000 of you that are out there, and with everybody who blesses us with all this income from doing like the membership stuff, and everybody who comes together and does all the super chatting, and everybody who's predominantly our main customer with the plasma cut blanks are all subscribers, and all that type of funding that comes in. I feel disproportionately blessed is the way I feel, and like I could do more. And so this is kind of my own little goal, and I was going to do it regardless, but I just thought that it was a good place that I could point out that what you guys do with the support on this channel, it matters to us. It affects Jessica and I very greatly. We greatly appreciate it, each and every last one of you. And we're not just saying that just for the dollars, right? Just for the green dollars and the super chat. Sure, all that's fun. But it really is important to us. You really do matter to us, and you are very important to us, and we thank you. And I want to be honorable with that, and I always want to be looking for ways that I can bring honor and glory to God and do more every year. If I get to 1 million subs someday, or 10 million, or YouTube kicks my butt off YouTube tomorrow, I don't care. I always want to try to look for ways that I can do more for my fellow mankind. So with that, since I'm making my own personal pledge to take and do that with any of the orders that come in, because we get a higher amount of orders, or we did last year. That was our biggest sales of the year, was right around November and Christmas with the blanks. I said, you know what? That's great and all. I could sit on that money. I could use it for the shop and doing all these other things. But what better way to take and bless others than really taking a good amount off the top and giving it to people to bring other people up even beyond the blacksmithing community. So that's my plan. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'd like to challenge you to do the same thing. You don't have to buy blanks from us. I'd like to challenge you to try to look into something this year where you can step in and you can help somebody else out. If everybody did this, we joked about getting to $100,000, right? Like we joked about that. Mm-hmm. But it's so true. If everybody just kicked in a little around your own local communities, your own neighborhoods, reach out to that neighbor next to you, right? If we all did that, think of how much better the world would be. And for Christmas time and Thanksgiving, I kick on my tunes. I'm listening to my Christmas. I'm already listening to Christmas music. I know I get a bad rap for it. But for me, that just, it puts my mind in the right perspective of how can I best serve others? Because to me, that's what Christmas, that's what the whole holiday spirit is to serve others during this time, right? And so that's what we're going to do. I just kind of want to share that with you. If you don't want to buy any blanks, that's cool. Try to uplift somebody else out. You never know what it might be. Just saying, hey, to some new guy, like, hey, you look like you're struggling to hold on to that axe. Right? Here's a pair of tongs that'll hold that better. Keep them, right? You never know how that would change that one person's life enough, right, and alter their whole course of history. It doesn't have to be great things, right? You don't have to have a big S on your chest, right, and wear a cape and, fly around the world or anything, but just doing small little things each and every day to help others, that can grow so much more. And I think using the platform of YouTube where we're at right now, again, I don't care if we get 1 million subs someday or not, but using that point of us being a kind of a hub to kick stuff off, I would like to use that for good and positive and change even further beyond just the blacksmithing community. So I'd like to challenge you to do that this November. I'd like to challenge you to do that all the way up to December. So there you go. There you have it. I just want to let you all know that you're very much appreciated, and we do thank you a lot.
Jeff Woodring says, that's a wonderful outlook on life and giving to those in need.
Thank you, Jeff.
Manga 12 said, Mom loved kids ran a daycare in the back of our house and kitchen.
Is that what they do?
His mom did, Manga's 12.
Mom? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome.
Glenn G.S. Tongs dropped in, and he sent a 300 NT super chat, but he also said, scroll back up to his comment. Okay, give me a second.
Give you a second?
Yeah.
I like the 300 NT super chat. It just sounds big. Sounds impressive. That's probably like 3.5 cents currency or something. Who knows?
Oh, he said, hey, Roy, you're a good guy. Keep at it.
Thank you, Glenn. Greatly appreciate it. If you don't know Glenn over at GS Tongs, you really should go check him out and subscribe to his channel. Really great instructionals, what he does, and his thought process, and really cool guy. You should go check out his channel for sure. So, all right. We good?
Yeah, one more. G. Taylor says, God bless you guys. Please bring this up on the front end next time. What a fantastic thing you're doing.
Yeah. Very much will. So, like I said, for the whole month of November, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to take 10% off the top, and all that's going probably to St. Jude this time around at Children's Hospital. So, I just want to let everybody know that because we do have a high amount of subscribers that buy from us, and I'd like you all to know where it's going. So, and we might do on by the giveaway live stream or something. I might just do like a grand tally or a grand total, just so that way you know where all your hard-earned dollars were spent, where they went. Do all that good. I think it's important. I think it's important to do that. Next year, it goes into something bigger. Next year, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to get myself locked into too much just yet. But next year, I want to do something more, a larger community-wide project that we can all get into, not monetarily, but something that's community-wide, and be able to be charitable and just change the world a little bit for the good. One blacksmith at a time. One blacksmith at a time. So that's it for today. I'm going to shut up. I got to quit. Thomas has got to go home. Huh. Yeah. See? Yeah.
Thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate it. I got to run because last time I was here, I think we stayed out till like 1 in the morning talking, and the girlfriend was not happy when I came home. So I'm going to roll out. I'll let Roy clean up here because usually I stick around and help, but I'm going to run out. So thank you guys for stopping by. God bless, and you have yourself a wonderful weekend.
Yep. All right, everybody. Take care. God bless each and every last one of you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching.